Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yasa. I'm a violinist. I moved from St. Petersburg, Russia to United States 10 years ago. And today we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary. Just kidding. I have no idea when it was. But I found a new mission during this pandemic. Nicholas, believe it or not, I really enjoy introducing different countries and different cultures. And I think it's have a tremendous impact on the world, just knowing each other, right? What we know, we are not scared of, and we more tend to love it. So hello, Nicholas.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing just as fine. Well,
I'm glad to hear it. Nicholas
this is over,
Colombia.
so well.
Yeah, we're talking about alcohol and different things from Colombia and his home country and culture that he grew up at or in. Forgive my language, I'm forgetting everything. So Nicholas, tell me more about desserts. What is your favorite Colombian dessert?
Desserts. Well,
it's my favorite part of the conversation.
there's a bunch of desserts. I guess there's two that pop to my mind. One is what we called arequipe, or it's also called in the continent like dulce de leche, which is basically it's based on milk. It's like nougat, but not really. It's very similar across the continent. We call it that way. Ours has a particular like thickness. Like down south in Argentina, it tends to be a little bit lighter. In some places, it tends to be a little bit like thicker or harder. But yeah, it's pretty much dulce de leche or arequipe. That's one of those. One more, particularly from my city, is called postre de natas, which is
wow.
And some people just dislike the idea. Like think about the fat that goes on top of your milk.
Okay, foam.
So you have that fat, and then you just pick that fat and pick that fat, and it's basically that. It's the fat of that milk with sweet.
I love it.
And it has this very particular taste. It's fantastic. And that's something that is very, very typical. Wow. Something else that is not exclusive to Colombia, something like arroz con leche, which is rice with milk, which is, it's done in a particular way. You usually put like, not grapes, but...
banana leaves, right?
Yeah, no. Just the what was this? Raisins. So you put raisins. Some people put canela. Gee, I'm forgetting everything now in English.
We can speak Spanish in a couple of years when I learn.
Yeah, the cinnamon. So some people put like some cinnamon on that, but that is actually far more common. It's like more like a Spaniard kind of things. So you find it more in different places, that like different like variations, but pretty much it's the same thing. Those are that. Apart from that, there's like little combinations. There is something that there's a particular fruit. What is it called?
Why are you still not mentioning chocolate? I thought Colombia is very big on chocolate and coffee.
Yes, but and we do have some very nice, actually like decent chocolate. There's a national company for chocolate that actually has like get like a really very good chocolate. Although that is just chocolate. Yeah, and it's as good chocolate as you would find anywhere else. But for something more specific, like I was thinking, is like brevas con arequipe, which is it's figs with this dulce de leche that I was telling you about. So the figs are made like in like a sugar, like they having like sugar like a lot, you know, like and then with those you put dulce de leche on top of that. That is also it's a typical dessert from Bogota, for instance.
Amazing. Nicholas, you'll have to send me pictures, okay? So I can put the desserts in, so people can't wait to go to Colombia to try those. Do you like going back Are you looking forward to going back after pandemic?
Yeah. Oh, my light that just decided to turn off by itself. Yes, as soon as I can, I guess. I still have some family there. I have some very good friends there. So, and the other thing is that dental services tend to be significantly cheaper than here. So, whenever I need to do anything with my teeth, I just go back home because it's cheaper.
Oh my gosh, Nicholas, same here. Same here. I can't wait to go. I know what you mean exactly. Well, I know you mentioned that Colombia faces some problems, but are you hopeful for the future of Colombia to fix all the problems that it faces at the moment?
Well, the problem is that we have problems from the beginning, from the start, and some of those problems have never been like really solved. So that creates a number of issues. There's a gigantic inequality. There's a significant amount of poverty. There has been infamous military conflict. And while some of that has been going down after some negotiations, there's still a sector of the country that still doesn't feel that great about that negotiation. We still have the influence of the drug trafficking. It's still very prevalent. It has get into politics. Many politicians have been, in many ways, involved in this. Like they got money from drug dealers. It's a very fraught situation. The current government is right-wing leaning, but then again, when you start looking around, it looks more like kleptocracy than really democracy, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, and the more that you learn, the more you realize how bad things are.
Do you think all those problems prompt the immigration to United States and perhaps other countries?
No, but it's not simply that. Just when you can be there and realize the problems immediately. The problem is that the drug trafficking problem is really something that affects very much my country. Not only my country, there's a bunch of countries that have pretty much the same pressure. When you have gigantic markets in the north that are basically asking for these things, and there is no actual way to like manage it, then it creates some gigantic economic incentives to do that drug trafficking, and without anything else to manage it, then basically it starts to filter it within society, and the level of corruption just basically it's not great. But on the other hand, there's other bad things that came before that still are there. So we do have the class of the people who have been on the up top. They have a very uncomfortable mentality regarding everybody else, which basically lends itself so that for violence from the state towards people who is in a bad situation. And it's considered like it's fine because class is still a thing. And that is very frustrating. There has been a lot of voices, and we're supposed to live in a democracy, and in a sense, at least, there's like some freedom of expression as opposed to some other places. But still, you can basically see that violence is something very real, and the further you go from the center, the worse it gets, because that's the other thing, is that the state is not really that competent. So, so yeah, there's a number of things that don't help.
In my mind, I'm just thinking, how can we help this situation? And of course, there is no easy answer. And at least we're talking about it, right? At least that's the first step.
Yeah, and there's a talking about it, but the problem is that some of the problems are so ingrained that are difficult to tackle, and still some because of the particulars of the conflict and things like that. Some people has basically reached the conclusion that it's better to have some bad people doing bad things so long as worse people is not doing worse things, which is depressing. So yeah, that's probably the saddest part of that. So society somewhat works. The other thing is that it's a very resilient society, ironically, probably because we have always been in some form of conflict or another. So that means that people like manages, but still that doesn't solve all the inequality, that doesn't solve poverty, that doesn't solve all the violence that happens. And it's there. And you can like pretend that it's not happening, but it's there.
Well, let's continue the conversation. At least, let's be vocal about it, because horrible things happens, and we can't pretend that they not, right?
Yep.
Oh, Nicholas, you're such a bummer. Well, for the end of this episode, let's just say something what you really miss about your country, and what is going to be the first thing you do when you visit. So we end on an uplifting note, okay?
The first thing that I'm going to do when I get there, okay, so this is not something terrible, first of all.
Okay.
Because it may sound like it.
Okay.
As I was saying before, my city is at 2,600 meters above sea level, which means that if you're not prepared, you can have altitude sickness. Because of that, one of the recommendations is that you take coca leaf tea.
Okay.
And that's probably the first thing that I'm going to do as soon as I get there, because I've been living at 0 meters for so long that when I get there, I already get the headache from the altitude sickness. So yeah, that's probably the very first thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to have mate de coca, which is what it is. And yeah, so that helps me a little bit.
Does it taste good?
Yeah, it tastes good. But yeah, it's just a tea, and the concentration is very low. So I'm not advocating for anything terrible.
So it has a relaxing effect?
No, it's like having a cup of coffee.
Okay.
Pretty much, it's like, yeah.
You know, the first thing I'm going to do when I go to Colombia, I'm going to get a delicious cup of coffee.
Oh, well. There you go.
With dulce de leche and chocolate, and I'm just gonna dance a whole night on the streets, and hopefully it will be gone by then, right? We're very hopeful. Well, Nicholas, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you so much for sharing your country's culture with us, and we will be following the news, and we will be doing our part in this process. At least by talking about the problems, and at least by making everyone aware what we're going through, right? Yep. Have a good night, dear, and we'll see you again soon. Guys, please like and subscribe, okay? We're counting on that. Bye, пока!